So Nate, I wanted to start off the show today talking to you. A lot of consumers don't understand the difference between what a loan commitment, what a pre-qual, pre-approval, and we'll have people come to us and say, "Oh, I'm pre-approved," and I think they think that they're just as good as gold.
Right,
with
it's
the
all
pre-approval.
done.
That they're done. If they've got that pre-approval, that means their loan's going to close.
Right.
Certainly a myth, and especially right now when the market's so competitive, where a lot of sellers look for cash or lighter conditions or whatever it is. Certainly, would love to hear kind of your explanation of some of those differences.
Okay, yeah, and this stuff impacts people. I mean, if you're buying a home, if you're selling a home, and obviously realtors as well, this is something that they really need to know the differences on. And in short, what it comes down to is this: everyone advertises. They say, "Hey, if you call us, we'll do a pre-approval for you." What that means is, if you're looking to buy a home, you call one of these entities. They will take your information over the telephone, and based off what you tell them, keyword, based off what you tell them, that phrase right there, they will basically say, if these things all come to fruition, you'd be good to go for a loan, provided the home appraises and the price is acceptable.
And again, the key there is based on what you tell them.
Correct. And this does not mean, nor am I insinuating that anyone is withholding information or not telling the truth, but this is what it comes down to. In lending, I would say there's probably 500 things that we check on any given loan applicant, and there's no way that we could ask them every single scenario, and there's no way they could think to tell us every single scenario that can exist that would impact that approval. And for that reason, one of the things that we do a little bit differently than the industry is we'll take the application over the phone, or the pre-approval over the phone, and tell them they're pre-approved based on that. However, we follow up with go ahead and asking them to provide their pay stubs and W-2s and bank statements. Most places don't do that until you have a home under contract. That's also after you and your realtor's been out for 6 weekends straight looking at homes, and it's then and only then could something come up. So if you're working with someone, you really want to provide those documents up front. It does not obligate you to anything. It does not put you in a loan. It does not even commit you to anything. But it does allow them, if they're doing their job right, to troubleshoot your file from A to Z. Even if you think nothing's wrong, there's always little things that can come up, that they need to be aware of. So,
Nate, where does the credit check fall in that process?
Well, okay, so
a lot of people have those hidden things or things that they're unaware of in their credit. Where might that come into play?
Okay, so the credit report, whenever, and this is, it varies by entity, and I might be biased, but this is why I feel like we're the best entity to do these pre-approvals. We actually do that right at the pre-approval stage. Now, I have seen a growing trend of places that say subject to credit. They're not even, they're basically saying, what is your bills, what is your income, here you go, provided your credit score is good.
Right.
And that's unbelievable. Now, my office spends thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars each and every month on credit reports. And what they're doing is they're eliminating that expense, and they're only pulling the credit whenever they have a deal in hand.
When they have a loan, right?
Right, and that's good for them, I guess, for their profit and loss statement. But it is terrible
for the realtor,
for the
seller,
buyer,
for the
everybody.
What percentage of people do you find that have something that they're like, what? What's that?
A lot of times, whenever we do a pre-approval, I call it more like a mortgage planning process, because a lot of times we'll find something and it will be okay. There's nothing wrong with it. We can get the loan approved. But since we did that up front, I can tell them tips and say, hey, you know what? Between now and then, why don't you pay this credit card down to $35? And then next time when we re-pull it, your score's going to be better. It's going to give you a better rate for the next 30 years. Why would someone not do that? It's just wise to do those things. So there's just a lot of little things like that come up. Maybe we had one that guy had a judgment against him, but it was someone else with the same name. We was able to pull the judgment out of public records, send it to the credit bureau, prove it wasn't his. The guy got an 80-point bump. An 80-point bump, and he had been pre-approved by 2 other places. No one offered to do that for him. And there's a fine balance between, profits and streamlining expenses, and then just doing the right thing sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes you just do stuff because it's the right thing to do,